What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and if you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we cover everything hockey, every trade, every rumor, every shocking development, and trust me, today's video is one of those videos where you're going to want to sit down, grab your drink, because what just went down in the NHL has people absolutely stunned. And not just fans, not just analysts, but the player himself. Sean Durzi, one of the most quietly talented defensemen in the league, has reportedly been blindsided by a trade that nobody, and I mean nobody, saw coming. And when I say nobody, I mean Durzi himself went on record saying the words that every hockey fan dreads hearing from a player they love. I never saw this coming. So buckle up, because we are diving deep into this story today. Let's start from the very beginning because context is everything when it comes to understanding just how shocking this move really is. Sean Durzi is not just some depth defenseman. This is a guy who worked his way up through the system, who put in the hours, who became a legitimate top four guy capable of quarterbacking a power play, capable of logging big minutes in critical situations. He was drafted by the Toronto Maple Leafs back in 2018, but his path to the NHL came through the Los Angeles Kings, and it was with that organization that Durzi truly blossomed into the player that the entire league started paying attention to. When he broke onto the scene, people were not just impressed, they were excited. Here was a guy with elite offensive instincts from the blue line, a right-handed shot that defenses had to respect, and the kind of skating ability that lets you get into and out of trouble in a way that keeps coaches sleeping at night instead of staring at the ceiling. And then came the move to the New York Rangers. Now, when Durzi landed with the Rangers, the hockey world paid attention because the Rangers were building something. This is an organization with a passionate fan base, a market that amplifies everything, and a roster that had legitimate Stanley Cup aspirations written all over it. Durzi coming into that mix made sense on paper. He added a dimension to the blue line that complemented what the Rangers already had. He was not coming in to be a passenger. He was coming in with purpose, with something to prove, and with the kind of chip on his shoulder that makes players dangerous. Rangers fans were excited. The analytics community was intrigued. And Durzi himself seemed energized by the opportunity. So when news started breaking that the Rangers had moved him, that there was a trade, that Durzi was on his way out, the reaction was immediate and it was loud. Social media absolutely erupted. Hockey Twitter, or whatever we're calling it these days, went into full meltdown mode. And the reason it hit so hard is not just because people like Durzi as a player, which they absolutely do, but because of the timing, because of what it signals, and because of what Durzi himself said when he found out. I never saw this coming. Those 5 words carry a lot of weight. That is not a player who was asking for a trade. That is not a player who had grown unhappy or who had been pushing for a change of scenery. That is a guy who woke up one day thinking he was a New York Ranger and went to sleep that night wearing a completely different jersey. Now let's talk about what this means from the Rangers' perspective, because there are always 2 sides to every trade, and understanding the organization's thinking is crucial here. The Rangers have been in a fascinating position over the last couple of seasons. They have all the ingredients of a contender, elite goaltending, a dynamic forward group, a power play that can take over games, but they have also been tinkering, adjusting, trying to find that perfect formula that gets them over the hump and into legitimate championship conversations. Sometimes that tinkering means making moves that feel counterintuitive from the outside. Sometimes it means moving a piece that fans love in order to acquire something that the front office believes fills a more urgent need. And that appears to be exactly what happened here. The thing about being a general manager in the NHL is that you are constantly playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. You are thinking 3, 4, 5 moves ahead. You are looking at your cap situation, your prospect pipeline, your roster age curve, your trade deadline flexibility, your playoff matchup possibilities, all of it at the same time. And sometimes the move that looks crazy on the surface is the move that makes the most sense when you zoom out and look at the full picture. So while Rangers fans are understandably emotional right now, while Durzi himself is processing what just happened to him, the front office is sitting there with a plan in place, with a vision for what this trade is supposed to unlock. But here is what makes this story so compelling beyond just the hockey chess pieces. It is the human element. Durzi's reaction humanizes what can sometimes feel like a cold, calculated business. Players are people. They build lives in cities. They develop relationships with teammates, with staff, with the community. When you get traded, especially when you do not see it coming, it is not just a jersey change. It is your whole world turning upside down overnight. You have to find a new place to live. Your family has to potentially uproot. Your routines, your relationships, your comfort. All of it gets disrupted in an instant. And Durzi saying, "I never saw this coming," tells you that he was invested. He was all in on being a Ranger. He was not mentally preparing for this. He was not keeping one foot out the door. He was fully committed, and that makes the shock all the more real and all the more relatable. Think about some of the most memorable trade reactions in recent NHL history. When players have spoken candidly about being moved, whether it was a veteran anchor of a franchise suddenly finding himself in a different city at the deadline, or a young player who had been promised a certain role and then found himself heading somewhere unexpected. Those moments stick with us because they remind us that this is a human sport played by human beings with real emotions and real stakes. Durzi joins that conversation now, and the way he has handled this publicly, with honesty, with authenticity, without bitterness, actually says a lot about his character. He is not throwing anyone under the bus. He is not going on a social media tirade. He said what he felt, and he said it with class. Now let's get into the broader implications for both teams involved, because a trade of this nature sends ripple effects through the entire league. On the Rangers' side, this creates questions about their blue line depth going forward. Durzi was a legitimate piece of that puzzle. He was not a passenger on the power play, he was a driver. Losing that right-hand shot from the point, losing that offensive instinct from the back end, is not nothing. The Rangers better have a plan to address that void, whether it comes from within the system through a prospect stepping up, through a free agency signing, or through another move that we have not seen yet. Because if they move Durzi without having a clear answer to the questions his absence creates, then this is a move that could haunt them, especially if they make a deep playoff run and find themselves wishing they had that weapon available. On the receiving end of this trade, whoever landed Durzi is getting a player who is going to come in with something to prove. And a motivated Durzi is a dangerous Durzi. This is the type of player who responds to adversity by working harder, by playing with more intensity, by making it his personal mission to make the team that moved him look foolish for doing it. We have seen this story play out 100 times in hockey, in every sport. The traded player who goes to his new home and absolutely lights it up, who makes his former team's fans sick to their stomachs when they check the box scores. Durzi has every ingredient to be that guy. He has the skill, he has the hockey IQ, and now he has the fuel. That is a dangerous combination. The reaction around the league has been fascinating to follow as well. When a move like this drops, you immediately start seeing the takes pour in from analysts, from former players, from coaches with opinions. And the overwhelming sentiment from people inside the game has been surprise, which again underscores just how unexpected this really was. This was not a trade that had been rumored heavily. This was not a situation where the writing was on the wall and everyone could see it coming except Durzi. This caught people off guard, and when a trade catches seasoned NHL insiders off guard, that tells you something about how close to the chest the Rangers kept this whole thing. General manager decisions of this nature also invite scrutiny of the overall direction of the franchise. Rangers fans are going to be asking hard questions right now. What is the plan here? What are we getting in return that justifies moving a player who was genuinely contributing and genuinely bought in? Those are fair questions and they deserve real answers. The beauty of sport